Hello, and thanks for watching this demo of the Wowsuch loot system. Before we get started, please make sure you have downloaded both the Wowsuch loot system as well as the Wowsuch core tools package. Links to both can be found in the description. Before we get into Unity, let's talk about the three major components of the loot system. They are lootables, loot containers, and the lootable cache. First, let's take a look at lootables. Lootables can be anything from coins and gems to armor and weapons, even things like characters, potions, and upgrade materials. Anything can be a lootable. Lootables and their properties are defined by you at design time. Next, we have loot containers, also known as loot boxes, drop tables, and many other names. Loot containers contain one or more lootable and don't always have to contain the same loot each time. The system comes with 7 different types of loot container, including ones with randomness and conditionals. We'll cover them in more detail later. Finally, we have the lootable cache. The cache is where your player's loot is saved. It gets serialized to and deserialized from the disk so that your player's loot is there the next time they load up your game. Before we take a look at the system, let's see some of the ways in which it can be used. We'll load up the example scene and click the play button. Our inventory is empty right now, so let's open some chests instead. We don't have any gems yet, so we'll open a chest that gives us some gems, and we'll use those gems to buy a full loot pack. You can see that there are lots of different types of lootables in the examples already. We have characters, weapons, armor, and various different types of materials, as well as the coin and gem currencies. We'll go back to the main screen and view our cache. First, let's look at the characters we got. We have 3 different character classes, and they all received random names. We can click on them to see more details, level them up, and equip some gear if we have any. We can now go back and view our materials, which is just a simple scrolling list. Finally, we have our gear, which can be sorted by type. We can also click on the gear to upgrade it using coins and resources, or dismantle it and get some coins and resources back. All in all, we have some features that are fairly common in modern games, and it's all built on the loot system. Let's take a look at the lootables we've defined. Lootables are provided to the system using lootable provider objects. It's a good practice for each type of lootable to have its own provider. Providers can be created via the Create Asset menu. Defining a new lootable is as simple as selecting the correct provider and clicking the plus button. Then give it a key, which should be unique across all lootables. Finally, depending on what type of lootable you created, you can also fill out the various other properties. We can then add our new lootable into a loot container. We'll add it to the same container that we just opened. Now, when we buy a full gear set, we also get the potion we just made. The loot system comes with 7 different types of loot containers: single, random, random list, weighted list, set, table, and either or. Each container can be referenced from any other container, leading to powerful nesting options. You can also easily create your own container types by deriving from the scriptable loot container class. Some loot containers have conditionals. Conditionals can be used to give out different loot based on a given condition, such as random chance or how many lootables are already in the player's cache. The last part of the system is the lootable cache. The cache stores your player's loot and serializes it whenever loot is added or removed. You can modify or turn this behavior off in the project settings window. The cache has a few options that can be modified, such as the directory, name, and file extension. You can enable or disable pretty printing, as well as whether or not to encrypt the file. It's a good idea to turn pretty printing off and encryption on for release builds of your game. Last but not least, we want to talk about the modularity and extensibility of the loot system. Each part of the system can be modified or completely replaced with your own implementations. This includes functionality for serializing the lootable cache, validating loot exchanges, generating random numbers, and much more. Each part of the loot system, including the system itself, can be re-implemented by you to suit your specific needs. That's all we're going to cover in this demo of the Wowsuch loot system. For more in-depth information, including a fully documented scripting API, please see the links in the description. You can also join our Discord server in order to access the Quick Start Guide for the Wowsuch loot system. The Quick Start Guide goes into even more detail about the capabilities of the system. Thanks for watching, and happy looting!